More on this now from drugs awareness campaigner Elizabeth Burton-Phillips and also former addict Shaun Attwood, who's joining me here in the studio. Good afternoon to you both. Shaun, want to come to you first. Now, you have previously been in a dark place with drugs. What do you think when you see that report and when you hear about the legislation coming? Is it a sledgehammer to crack a nut, or what are your thoughts?
Well, I work in drugs education and I go in schools and warn them about the consequences of legal highs. I just got a letter from a prisoner in Arizona and he said the place is flooded with spice. Inmates are hallucinating and vomiting for hours on end. They're flopping on the floor like fish, foaming at the mouth. So raising awareness with young people is my philosophy. More education, less incarceration. Now, the government in their ivory tower keep bringing these drug laws in to make legal highs illegal, and then the chemists in India, the chemists in China just tweak the formula and produce a whole new batch of synthetic chemicals that young people are taking that are even more dangerous, so they're creating the problem.
Elizabeth Burton-Phillips, let's bring you in here. I mean, my understanding is you think rules are necessary for young people. So what do you think when you hear that report there that young people are just going to carry on regardless?
Well, you know, I come from a teaching background. I have 39 years of working with young people, and I know what makes them tick and how they react to things. And young people definitely like structure, they like to understand things, they like clear direction. And what we have a situation here at the moment is that legal highs is telling them that, you know, it's fine, they will be fine. And actually bringing this legislation, I think, is really important for them to understand that these are lethal highs. They can take away lives. They do take away lives. As a charity, we work with families whose lives are blighted by loved ones' use of all sorts of drugs, particularly these days legal highs. Only this morning, I've been talking to a mother whose son is extremely ill as a result of doing, in particular, nitrous oxide. So, you know, I'm very much behind this new legislation that's going to be coming. Young people need boundaries, need structure, need guidance, and it isn't for me personally about educating them about choice. There is no choice when you're playing Russian roulette with your life.
Shaun, let me bring you in there to respond to this. I mean, this nitrous oxide is often the entry point drug, isn't it, for young people? And the point that Elizabeth Butler-Phillips is making there is that this can be the start of it, but it quite quickly goes down that slippery slope.
Correct, and I agree with Elizabeth about educating young people about the health consequences of drugs. That's paramount. But prohibition leads to young people getting in trouble with the law. They often get thrown into jails and prisons where the drug of choice is heroin, and they graduate to even harder drugs. Having lived with addicts and being an addict, living with addicts for 6 years in the prison system, that's exactly what I saw. 90% of the guys were shooting up heroin and crystal meth. Most of the rest were for marijuana at that time.
Elizabeth Butler-Phillips, and what about the point that Shaun Attwood was making there as well, that if you introduce a blanket ban on this drug, you just get chemists coming up with different ways of making it, which are potentially even more toxic, and these young people are going to get hold of it anyway?
Yes, that may be true. One thing I do want to say, I think it's really, really important part of this discussion, is that we, as a charity, have a helpline for your viewers to contact, which is 0300 888 3853. That helpline is available 7 days a week throughout the whole year from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. And if there are family members watching this whose youngsters or any of their families, friends or carers are using nitrous oxide or any of these legal highs, please contact us, because it is the fallout on the family that is really, really important, that the young people in particular understand this. Actions have consequences. It is not about going out and having fun. Ultimately, this can cause deaths. We see it in the charity day after day after day. So I would emphasise that your listeners, your viewers, really take note of our number and call us if they feel worried about the behaviour of their young people. A blanket ban, I think, is essential. I think we need to get into schools. I have fantastic opportunities in schools to get into schools to educate these young people of the damage that they can do to themselves and the fallout on their family members.
We've put that helpline up on our screens there. I just want to ask you a little bit more, though, about a blanket ban, because there's a real difference, isn't there, in danger with nitrous oxide, depending on how it's used. Does all of it need to be banned? Because in countries where they've done that, Poland, for example, initially saw the use of these things come down, but then it went right up beyond the pre-ban levels that we were seeing before.
I just think we've got to exercise common sense. And common sense here, we're in a society where the young people are living in the moment, they're experimenting in the moment, and, if we have to have some kind of structure and discipline. And I think the blanket ban is the right way to go. That's my personal view.
Shaun Attwood, what do you think the consequence will be when this law comes into place?
Look at the consequence of recent bans. The government has claimed that it's a success because methadone use has gone down, head shops in Ireland have been closed, and all the young people have done is moved on to spice, gone to buying their drugs on the internet and getting them from the black market. So it's not been a success at all.
So what would your advice be? We've heard advice there from Elizabeth Butler Phillips. What would your advice be? The
most sensible drug policy in the world right now, from what I've seen, is the decriminalisation in Portugal. And drug use, heroin use, for example, has gone down from over 100,000 users to less than 50,000. And the crime and all of the other health consequences have plummeted.
Right, OK. But there are also these helplines that she is describing.
Yeah, and I encourage that as well. And Elizabeth's doing great work supporting family members. And I did watch her videos last night on YouTube, and it broke my heart to see her story. It really did.
Very good to talk to you both. Thank you very much indeed. That's Elizabeth.
Thank you very much indeed.
And Shaun Attwood.